You'd see it all the time in our church where there would be a man with multiple wives, and there would be this, like, a wife that was just absolutely unloved, but also just completely not being considered and not loved and not taken care of. And that's wrong.
Oh! Oh, no, she didn't!
Oh, yes, she did!
No, she didn't!
Yes, she did!
No, she didn't!
Yes, she did, Peter! I just saw it!
All right, take it easy.
You're here with me where you wanna be at the algorithm. Just you and me.
Okay, guys, since we're already talking about the apology tour, and hopefully you've seen my previous video where I talked about the apology tour in general before we saw Kody hit the tables and start talking to Janelle in tonight's episode. I also wanted to address something that Robyn was saying, because I think that this is so crazy that it had and deserves its own video. When Robyn was talking to Kody about the apology tour, she started talking about, well, why are you trying to say, what are you apologizing for? I don't understand it. And Kody looks at her and says, I want to apologize because I told these women that I didn't love them, right? And from that point forward, Robyn went on to find her pity party place and started giving her story about how this terrible thing has happened in the past and she's familiar with it, which sounds familiar because ultimately this is one of the accusations that she's denied that Christine actually put on her. When Christine said, oh, when Robyn was trying to convince Meri to get a divorce from Kody, she said she knew somebody in the church who did the same thing, and this is what happened, and she wound up getting the divorce from the legal wife, divorced the husband so that he could adopt the second wife's kids, and it was awesome and amazing. And she said that that's what Robyn had said to Meri, right? Christine said that that's what Robyn had said to Meri. Robyn turned around and said, I never said that. I would never say something like that. And now she's on the screen doing the very thing she said that she never does. And I think that that's, and it's on its face is awesome. But when we talk about it, let's listen to the story that she tells, okay? Because I think that it's so ironic that she's actually putting words and feelings into other people's experiences, and she turns a blind eye when it actually happens within her own family. Let's take a listen.
You'd see it all the time in our church where there would be a man with multiple wives, and there would be this, like, a wife that was just absolutely unloved.
We're going to stop right there. One of the precepts that I love in this situation, because Robyn's a master communicator, is the idea that she gives a qualification to the women not being loved. She didn't say, you know, those women in these relationships and a man with a bunch of wives, and you see one of the wives who's not loved and doesn't experience love in the relationship, and she's not experiencing companionship and fellowship, and he's not a good steward as far as his relationships are going. No. What she said is that these women aren't having absolutely no love. So if you love them a little bit, it's okay. A little bit, just a little bit. That's fine. But if you absolutely don't love them, then that's when the problems start. And I think that that's the little door that Robyn is trying to paint for herself, because as she's telling this story, you can see her eyes darting all over the room while she's telling this story. That's somebody who's looking for the next words to say, because there's no truth in this story. As far as she's concerned, I don't think she knows it. Well, here's the thing. I think she knows a bunch of people who have suffered this, but she puts in the term absolutely so that the women can be, the actions can be pardoned, so it can be excused. Because if you say that these things happen in relationships and you have women who are making these types of sacrifices in these relationships and they aren't being cared for at the same levels as all the wives, things aren't equal. You notice she never said equal in her description. You know, you have a wife and then he has multiple wives and he's not treating the wives equally. And so therefore he's wrong. You notice she never said that. She said the man absolutely doesn't love him. And she's been arguing the entire time that Kody did love the wives, that he did care for the wives. Where's the argument that Kody loved them and he was treating them equally? You can lie to us, but you can't lie to the people who are there. You can't lie to the people who are involved. So who are you telling this story for? Let's let her finish the story.
And like just the devastation of a woman trying to sit there and like be in a marriage where not only is she sharing her husband and going through that whole process of sharing all the resources and sharing his love and time and attention, but also just completely not being considered and not loved and not taken care of. And that's wrong.
You hear that, y'all? That's wrong. That should not happen. That should never occur. This is wrong. Robyn, maybe you haven't been paying attention. But if you actually listen, like I said, when you talk about communication, it's not just you talking. It's about you listening and comprehending what the other person is saying. If you listen to what these other women were complaining about, they were complaining about this very situation. They were talking about the situation that you're describing. And whether you feel personally that Kody absolutely did love them or he didn't absolutely not love them, he didn't absolutely discard them. I mean, he listened to them a little bit. He went over there once in a while. That should be good enough. But if you listen, try to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand what they were saying when they were talking about what was going on in a relationship, then you very well may come to the realization that the story you're describing is actually Christine's story, is actually Meri's story, is actually Janelle's story. So you didn't have to go throughout the church and throughout your religion and throughout your personal experience of seeing people in other families and other relationships. You could have looked at the relationships that you were in and come to the same conclusion. But you're not going to do that because ultimately it's about making excuses for Kody. When you said that, it hurt my feelings. You didn't hear Kody say that he meant that shit? He said, I'm sorry I said it. But he didn't say, I never meant it, and I really did care for them, and I really did love them. He said he's sorry he said it. He meant it when he said it, but he's just sorry he said it. That's a different thing. See, unlike you, Robyn, I listen. I listen to what people actually say. Now, when he's sitting there face to face with these women, because again, like I said, I haven't seen the screen captures of Kody talking to the wives. I haven't seen those segments. I'm sure when he's sitting there apologizing to him with this bullshit apology that doesn't mean anything, because who cares if you guys aren't no longer together, whether you loved them or not 20 years ago? Who cares? Right? That doesn't matter. What matters is how you treated them when they left. Why did they leave? That's what matters. That's where the rubber meets the road. That they left because they felt like they were unloved. They left because they felt like they were giving resources, time, and attention from their husband to another woman, and they weren't getting anything in return. They felt like they were being shortchanged. So, out of respect for themselves, they decided to depart the relationships. That's why they left the family. So how then are you angry with them because they did the very thing you're saying they should do or implying they should do? Because again, it's a bad thing. That's not good. It's bad. It's bad. It's terrible. So they just realized that it was bad. It was terrible. And shame on you for not recognizing that the person that you're talking about very well could have been named Meri, Christine, or Janelle. Shame on you. And at the end of the day, I understand that this is maybe how the family culture worked, and maybe this is how you were brought up in your church, and maybe this is how things are done in your polygamous relationships. But if you can look at these things and you can say, this isn't right, then it doesn't matter how you were brought up because you recognize, you know the difference between right and wrong, and you're expressing that here. You know that what Kody put these women through was wrong. You know that their complaints and the things that they were saying was wrong if this is what they were going through. Now, it's crazy if you think that three people, like you were talking about one person in these relationships. And if he has multiple wives and he has one of his wives who feels like they aren't being loved, what a shame. And we have to champion for that one woman. But in Kody's case, you have 3 women who are saying the same thing. And you're saying that y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all must be crazy. We have to take a step back and look at the person who's telling the story, Robyn. And so again, this is another example of the image rehabilitation failure to launch. Let me know what you guys think down below. Share this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. We will be dropping more content just like this coming up, talking about sister wives. We'll also be talking about special forces very soon. So make sure you're ringing that bell for notifications so you'll be notified when we drop new content. That's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die.